Hello and welcome to The Long Play, where we listen to some of the world's greatest albums. It's a little bit like a podcast.
It is a little bit like a podcast. In fact, it's very like a podcast, and it's a little bit like a book club, but there's no books. How are you doing, Super Tommy Figgins?
I'm tired.
We've just recorded the last month's episode, Talking Heads Remain in Lights, and Tom, if you've listened to that already, you'll know he messed up the intro in that one too. What a professional.
What a professional.
So, Tom, here we are.
Here we are.
And we're talking about this month's album, which is...
Led Zeppelin IV.
Led Zeppelin IV. So,
what are the big hitters on this album?
Oh, I mean, there is one big hitter on this album, Stairway to Heaven.
Cool.
Yeah, and
string.
Black Dog.
Oh, yeah. I thought Black Dog was on this one.
Yeah.
Love that. I saw Robert Plant, in, maybe like 2013 or something like that, like years ago at the iTunes Festival. Do you remember that was a thing?
Yeah.
At the Roundhouse.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was. He played all of his sort of own songs, and it was one of those things where I think you went in for a ballot, so
right.
You didn't know what you were going to get. And a friend of mine said, "Oh, do you want to come see Robert Plant?" I was like, "Well, I don't know if I know any of his own sort of material, but sure, why not? Let's go and check it out." So we went, and then he played like, Whole Lot of Love and Black Dog at the end, and it was awesome. It was so good to hear those things live. I mean, I know it wasn't Led Zeppelin, but it was good. It was good, and he still had it. Actually, to be fair to him, he was very good. I remember seeing the Who, maybe a little bit afterwards at Isle of Wight Festival, and you could tell Roger Daltrey, like all those songs are really high, and you could tell that he was probably going, "Oh gosh, I regret writing these so high." But yeah, I mean, fair play to Robert Plant. He still had it.
Yeah, so that's this month's album. We had a rock-based poll, and this album got about half the votes, actually.
Great. Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, again, as with all of these albums we seem to listen to, I know the singles, but haven't done enough listening to albums of theirs.
I mean, this is one of the biggest selling albums of all time. This is the 5th biggest selling album of all time in the US.
Wow.
And it's about, in the near or the top 10 worldwide. It sold lots of copies.
Here we go.
Like 30 million, I think.
30 million?
Yeah.
Flipping heck.
Yeah. So, yes, it's a biggie. It's a biggie. And, it was actually untitled. So they decided after the release of Led Zeppelin III, which commercially and critically wasn't that much of a success.
Right.
They decided to have a bit of a kind of
I always only really know them from their covers.
Yeah.
Which was Led Zeppelin III. Led Zeppelin III was the one with...
Oh, I don't know, actually. Let me see. I've got Wikipedia right up here. Oh, it looks like that, which I actually...
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you that.
No.
Looks like a Kandinsky painting.
Yes, exactly. But this one they decided to have completely untitled. And despite the fact that I think Robert Plant now refers to it as Led Zeppelin IV or the 4th album. So,
well, I mean, otherwise you're just going to have to explain it every single time you're talking about it. And that, doing the press for that must have been a nightmare.
Yeah, well, they released it untitled, just with some symbols. There was no words on any of the cover. And the record company were absolutely furious about it, advising them that...
Well, I'm amazed that they didn't...
They advised them
sort of step in and go, "I'm sorry, you're not doing this."
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of negotiation. But it sold 30 million copies.
Well, yeah, they weren't bothered.
So in the end, everybody is very happy about that, aren't they?
Yeah.
I was just looking at they sold 24 million copies just in the US.
Wow.
So it is a biggie. So the record company were very happy in the end.
Yeah.
But it goes to show, if the songs are good...
Classic case of, I told you for ages we should have put it as...
Yeah, so this was released in November 1971. So I find it remarkable how kind of something like this kind of started metal in lots of ways. How close to almost the start of rock and roll it is.
Yeah.
It's very
when you think
early.
about how far away from that we are now.
Yes, yeah. We are over 50 years away from that, and yet 50 years before this was released was 1921. It's there's a huge cultural shift and development of music, popular music. For this to be an album.
A lot of that was driven by the technology.
Yeah.
And how quickly that was advancing.
Yeah.
The Beatles are an amazing example of that in the way that they were able to use, the technology that was available. And when at the beginning of that, they were only able to record, 4 tracks or something like that. And then all of a sudden multi-tracking became possible.
Yeah.
And then, the first album that they created after they stopped touring, I think, was Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah.
And that was when they basically just went, let's go mad.
Yeah, let's use all of this.
Yeah. And they really did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing when you think, before, so 50 years before that was really the dawn of being able to record music in this way.
Yeah.
And then, 50 years further on, and, everybody can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I am looking forward to. I don't know this album at all either. I know the obviously we all know "Stairway to Heaven," and I know Black Dog, but I don't really know. There's a cover of "When the Levee Breaks" as well.
Oh, cool!
A hard rock reinterpretation of that song. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I was really into rock and metal when I was before my Prince days, very early on.
Probably around 1980.
Yeah, absolutely, around 1980. But it's not something that I've kind of gravitated back to much.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this month.
Yeah, I mean, rock music was very much my sort of bread and butter when I was in my teenage years. And my dad always loved Led Zeppelin, but it was not as much in our rotation as things like Cream and stuff like that. Maybe just because we didn't have a copy of it. Yeah. I know we talk about it a lot, but it's amazing that's your exposure is just usually just kind of what's around.
Yeah. What's there?
Whereas now, my kids' listening experience is far broader.
Yeah.
When I can control Spotify, they listen to whatever I can dream up, and it's amazing that is available to us now.
Yeah, absolutely. The around this time, well, that's why it sold so many copies as well. In lots of ways, is once an album, this is the kind of golden time for record sales because that's the only way you could really listen to this album.
Yeah.
It was the only way you could listen to this album. You might hear the singles on radio, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And apart from that, you're going out and buying the vinyl. And
will you be buying the vinyl?
I already have.
Fantastic.
I did this morning.
We should have a look. We should listen to it together. I'll come over and we'll turn it up good and loud.
Yeah.
Irritate the neighbours.
Exactly.
That's just as it should be listened to.
Yeah. Although we need to tweak my turntable.
Yes.
It was running a bit fast.
We met up earlier in the week to chat about what did we chat about? I can't remember anyway. Probably chatting about getting together to record this episode. And the first thing I said as soon as I walked through the door and heard Talking Heads was, is that running fast?
And it is.
It's It's again going back to that sort of ferocity of the percussion and stuff. It's quite easy to tell when that's a little bit sped up because it feels like you're having palpitations.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thanks so much for being here. Please leave us a little review if you get a chance, and tell someone about us. We're at the beginning of a month now, so it's perfect time.
Yes.
To indoctrinate someone.
Absolutely.
Into the record cult.
And subscribe on Instagram at the Long Play Pod and at Substack, thelongplaypod.substack.com. where I'll be sending out the mid-month missive in the middle of the month with some links and info. I don't know if the new Led Zeppelin film is streaming yet. I don't think it is. I think it's still in cinemas.
It's been in the cinemas, isn't it?
Yeah, so, but that's one for this month, I think.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much, and we'll see you in a month.
We will see you at the end of the month with a review of Led Zeppelin IV by Led Zeppelin.
Fantastic. Well, all there is to say is no skipping.
No shuffling.